Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Jasmine, I'm 22 years old and 30 weeks pregnant with my first child. Today's video is about the symptoms I had during trimester 2. First and foremost, I definitely had a lot of skin changes in trimester 2 as well. If you've seen my previous video from trimester 1, you'll know that I had a lot of skin changes then. This was something that progressed a lot into trimester 2 as well. Interestingly enough, my skin carried on clearing up. I don't really get active spots like that very much, unless it's from wearing a face mask or something like that. So skin defo improved, there's a lot more healthy feeling, less acne, that kind of stuff, which is nice, I'm not complaining. I did get a lot of rashes though, like random rashes. I'm not really one to get rashes unless there's something wrong, like an allergic reaction or something like that, but what I was actually having was proper rashes where it would cover like pretty much half of my chest would be in this giant rash. Like I'd go in the shower, I'd use the normal shower gels that I've been using for years, those kind of things. It wasn't like there was a tingling sensation or anything like that to suggest that there was something there was a reason for why I was getting this rash. But I'd literally get out of the shower and I would have like blotches of red and stuff like that on my body, to the point that I actually asked my dermatologist why that might be happening. I also asked the obstetrician. They both kind of just put it down to being hormonal changes, that kind of stuff. But if something was really bad, then they would recommend getting it checked out. I took pictures of mine so I could show them, if to be like, is this bad, is this whatever. The dermatologist seemed to think it was just pregnancy based, but if something really bad happened or it was spreading, then to defo come in. So there was skin improvements, lots of rashes, and then lastly in terms of skin was the dry skin. So dry skin is something I mentioned from trimester 1. I was getting dry skin in places that I don't normally have dry skin. That's continued in trimester 2, but it's also now very much about my hands. My hands are very dry, and if you've seen one of my videos on the gender prediction, then you'll know that that's kind of connected to it superstitiously. Dry skin, dry hands, that kind of stuff, really feeling like I need to moisturize a lot. Like even if my skin, if I want to wear makeup or something like that, like I had to make sure I was really hydrating my skin, which is odd because I drink a lot of water, especially during my pregnancy. I've been really thirsty, so I drink a lot of water, but it was just dry skin. Dry skin, that's all I can say, dry skin. In terms of the nausea, this is something that I said literally ruled trimester 1. During trimester 2, this pretty much disappeared, which was lovely because I really hated the feeling of feeling sick all the time. And a lot of times I've read things online that say like trimester 2 is the easiest trimester, so enjoy it while you can. And now that I'm in trimester 3, I realise why people say that. In terms of the morning sickness and the vomiting and nausea and that kind of stuff, it definitely died down in trimester 2. In the early couple of weeks of trimester 2, it was still lingering, but when it stopped, it made such a big difference. And honestly, I don't know how I was managing in trimester 1. During trimester 2, I did have continued boob changes, that kind of stuff, so I don't think they can possibly get any bigger, but they're always just feeling very heavy and very full, which is really nice when you have had smaller boobs in the past, to have like a full chest. Boob changes, but the nipples are still like, they defo got darker. This is what sounds weird, but sometimes they hurt, but like not like a, oh that's sore that goes away. It's like if it's cold or something like that, it feels like they are rocks and they're not very happy. That's the only way I could describe it. Not very happy nipples. Like I don't understand why it happens, but the boob changes were mainly the fact that they just stayed very full, nipples darkened, and that the nipples were really sensitive and aggressive. Very aggressive about how sensitive they were. Trimester 2 is finally the time that my bump started to show. During my pregnancy, a lot of people always said to me like, you have a really small bump, like are you sure you're that many months pregnant, blah blah blah. And it was really like off-putting when people would say this to me, but trimester 2 was finally the time when my bump started to come through. Even if it wasn't shown to other people, it was shown to me, so this is when it was finally starting to come through. Finally started growing, and when I say growing, I don't mean like it just went whoop. It didn't do that. It just kind of naturally got bigger. Let me see if I can show you now. It naturally got bigger. I am in trimester 3 right now while I'm recording this, but as you can see, it's like finally started rounding out. It's not the biggest of bumps, but it did finally start to show a little bit during trimester 2, mainly towards the very end where we were about to go into trimester 3. Trimester 2, I was really feeling the need to pee a lot more, so it was just peeing all the time. To trimester 2, I definitely needed to pee a lot more than I was before, like noticeably more. Like I thought trimester 1 I was peeing a lot more, trimester 2 I was peeing ridiculous more, and let me not get started on trimester 3. But in trimester 2 especially, I was peeing a lot more, and if it was more than 15 minutes walk or 20 minutes walk and I didn't know there was a toilet there, it wasn't happening. I needed to know that I could walk the 15 minutes and go toilet, because my bladder couldn't handle it. I think this is, as baby got bigger, he was putting more pressure on my bladder and that kind of stuff, because I definitely needed to pee a lot more. And like, it's weird because I can drive for like an hour and a half and not need to pee, or only need to start to pee, like feel like I need to pee towards the end of it, but it's manageable. Whereas as soon as I get out of that car, I need to pee. Like, I think it's something to do with gravity and his weight and pushing on the bladder, that kind of stuff, because otherwise it makes no sense to me as to why this happens. So definitely needed to pee a lot more all the time. In trimester 2, that's when I started getting bleeding gums. Now this is something that I had noticed other people had spoken about in their symptoms and stuff like that before, but when I first got it, I was like, oh my god, is there something wrong? I need to go to the dentist. And the dentist was like, no, everything's fine, your teeth are clean, blah blah, all of that kind of stuff, and that this was normal. So I was like, okay, cool. So at least I was reassured, because bleeding from anywhere is scary in general, but bleeding from anywhere when you have a baby growing inside you is terrifying. So it was just reassuring to kind of get the, like, no, that's fine, that's normal, that kind of stuff. And not everyone has it, so like you could go to someone and be like, yeah, I've had my gums bleeding, they'll be looking at you like, ew. But it's nice to know that it's normal and it's not my fault, that kind of stuff. Trimester 2, I had been super thirsty all of the time. Super thirsty, back in bottles and upon bottles of water. Like, I can't tell you the amount of bottles that I've had by my bedside that I'm drinking, and it's like, doesn't matter how much I have, I never feel completely quenched, if that makes sense. It's just like a complete vicious cycle, in the sense that the more I drink, because I'm super thirsty, the more I need to pee. And even if I don't drink a lot, I still need to pee a lot all the time, so I might as well just drink a lot anyway, because I'm gonna need to pee. It just goes like that the whole time. In trimester 2 though, I don't think this is really a symptom, but it's something I wanted to say anyway. Baby started moving and he started kicking, and it was like early trimester 2. I was waiting for, yes, you, Mr. Wiggles. I call him Mr. Wiggles because all he does is wiggle around. I was early on in trimester 2 waiting to find out when baby would start moving. He started moving around like week 18. Not too early in trimester 2, but he was moving. I'd have to say about halfway through trimester 2 that he was actively moving a lot, regularly, that kind of stuff. But that was nice. That's the symptom that baby started kicking. This is also the trimester in which insomnia really kicked in. Despite feeling tired all the time, because fatigue is such a big thing, despite feeling tired all the time, I was really struggling to sleep and maintain sleep, and this kind of progressed during my pregnancy. And yeah, sometimes I'd have to get up because I needed to pee, but in general it was a bit difficult to fall asleep, and insomnia just definitely kicked in trimester 2 and has not really got better. I have been tired so much. I felt very drained throughout trimester 2, very drained. Was really feeling tired all the time. In trimester 1, where I was tired, I would actually just fall asleep really easy. Trimester 2, I wasn't able to do that as much. I was still having naps and those kind of things, but I would just always felt very drained and heavy. And then with the insomnia, not being able to like fall asleep very well, it just wasn't the best match. Trimester 2 is where pain started happening for me. So I used to get a lot of pains in like my hips. So like here, can you see that? Like these parts of my hips, I would feel pain. I would have like this grinding pain in my hips, and it would feel really uncomfortable, like your bones are grinding. It was not very fun. That's something that was really noticeable during trimester 2 for me, was this kind of hip pain, feeling the grinding. It was just not very nice. On top of this, I did have back pain. Now, I was involved in a car accident, so it could be kind of connected to that, but I was getting back pain more and feeling uncomfortable and having the need to like stretch a lot more, that kind of stuff during trimester 2. Trimester 2, I was definitely getting more food cravings, so I was hungry a lot and I was definitely snacking so much more than in trimester 1. And my cravings for meat especially were super heightened to the point where I was like, I want a burger, that's it, I want burgers. I'd say to my sister, I was like, you have to come and get a burger with me, I want to go here, I want this, I want that. And it was all kind of meat orientated, which is why my whole pregnancy has been very meat oriented, because that's what baby wants. So one of the really good symptoms of trimester 2 was actually the fact that my hair grew. In pregnancy in general, my hair has been growing, but in trimester 2 I definitely noticed it a lot more, that my hair was growing, felt more healthy, felt much stronger, those kind of things. So hair growth is great, because the same with my boobs, I've always struggled with the growth of my hair. For the pregnancy to just be the thing that triggered my hair to grow stronger, longer, and look healthier is great. In trimester 2, this is something that I'd mentioned from trimester 1, was the fact that I was getting a lot of headaches and feeling dizzy. But these feelings of headaches and dizziness were really persistent, and to the point where I'd be like, I have to go and sit down, or I have to go and get some water, because I didn't feel stable. Especially towards the end of trimester 2, I was definitely feeling off balance, that kind of stuff a lot more. I was feeling really dizzy and getting faint spells a lot during trimester 2. I've heard a lot of people say that trimester 2 is the nicest trimester and that you should enjoy it. And for me, it definitely did kind of sit with that it was nicer than trimester 1. It definitely was a lot more manageable than trimester 1, to be honest with you. Though it did have its downsides. So one of its downsides that it had was actually the fact that I would have this kind of burning sensation in my esophagus like all the time, and I wouldn't know what it was, and I thought like, oh, maybe it's like acid reflux or something like that, and I wasn't really sure why it was happening. But if I was sleeping, I would feel like there was a burning feeling in my esophagus, especially in the top part here, and I'd try and drink water, cold water, something like that, to try and soothe it, but it didn't seem like the water was efficient in doing that. So when I saw my obstetrician, I was like, hey, I'm getting this feeling, I don't know what I should be doing about it, should I be concerned? He was like, it sounds like you have heartburn. Now, I've not had heartburn before, so when I've seen like the Gaviscon adverts and stuff like that, and you see like the firemen fighting inside people's like lungs and throats and all those kind of things, I didn't think that the Gaviscon or the heartburn was in your throat, so that's why I didn't think of it automatically. But when he said it, it kind of made sense, because I just didn't think heartburn and throat were the same thing, but apparently that's how it works. So they actually gave me this really big bottle. I'm gonna show you. They gave me this really big bottle, and for reference, that's the size of my head. The size of my head as a bottle of liquid to stop heartburn, and it's literally just this like peppermint liquid, and I'm meant to take it 4 times a day as directed, after meals and those kind of things, to kind of deal with the heartburn. Now, I'm not the best at taking medication or those kind of things properly, but this one is disgusting. I didn't know that this Gaviscon kind of thing was so disgusting until I tried it. And when you have to take these spoonfuls of it 4 times a day, you need to take 2 spoonfuls of it 4 times a day, it is really quite grim. So I take it when I feel necessary, really only when I feel necessary. Sometimes I've forgotten it at home, and because it is a big heavy glass bottle, this is not really something you want to be lugging around with you, but at the same time, this is the best bottle for it to be kept in. So it's kind of like, do you carry it around with you all the time and carry this like weight, because it is quite hefty, or do you just kind of firm it? So sometimes I've forgotten it, sometimes I'm just like, that's too heavy to carry around all the time, and regretted it. But they did give me something that does help, it's just not very comfortable or nice to swallow. That was a recap of the symptoms that I experienced during trimester 2. I will be making a trimester 3 one shortly. Now that I am in trimester 3 and I'm quite in the middle of trimester 3, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna wait a little bit towards the end to come up with that video for you guys. It will probably come out after my son's birth. Definitely let me know some more ideas for videos that you guys are interested in. It would definitely help because I have a few ideas, but I want to be making sure that I'm actually making stuff that you guys care about or want to know.